to the vastness of existence. That's all well documented, and we have lots of teachings on that. But what's trickier is moving into integrating Krishnahood, or which is based on Krishna from 5,000 years ago, who basically was a being that was 5,000 years ahead of his time, who took the positive jump of not neither this nor that, but jumping absolutely wholeheartedly into existence, just with one swoop, just one step. So um, the problem with integrating into Krishnahood is that it leaves no thing that you can grab onto, and it also forces you to come from a place of surrendering to infinity. So it's both your 0 point and your infinity point. And but it is a very loving place to be at. I know what can happen is sometimes you integrate aspects of Buddhahood. I know, for example, and I can explain to it you better, is because when I was born, I there was some sort of prognosis that I was a special being, and I was born on the U.S. Canada border, and so I can remember witnessing as a baby at the time of birth me being born somewhere and then being moved to another location. So I thought that was very strange. But later I was able to figure this out. It was being born on the US side, getting registered as a US being, and then being moved over to Roslyn, which is Canadian, and getting a birth certificate there, and then sticking with that birth certificate. So I grew up with as a Canadian, even though I'm actually American. Dual citizenship, and a strange turn of events. But this was always on these visionary dreams. I would always go back to having, this seems strange to me now, the dreams would be like I was part of the Kennedys. And I thought, well, that's very strange. That makes no sense. It would be, my name is Gary, it would be Gary Kennedy. That would be coming to America. And so I thought, oh, well, what's that all about? And then this would be playing out with me that I actually had another birth certificate that had me registered as a BEC person, but not as Gary Nixon. Nixon was my Canadian last name, but it was as Gary Kennedy. So that would come up at my times of quantum leap, and then I forget about it. But you see, what has happened here is accepting my Buddhahood has also meant accepting the fact I've had very many memories of being the Buddha. And so it's something that took a hard time for me to accept, but I can really experience different aspects, and I've had grand memories of the adding the flower shower enlightenment experience. And so it took me a while to put all this together. And as I was saying, even the Christian experience started to open up with me, especially in like 2006, where I was rushing across the country in a desert storm, and I came onto a park at Hope, and sped up a little bit before I stopped at a sidewalk along the park. This woman got frightened and phoned the cops. And when the cops came, there just not one came, about four speeding cars came in. So I thought, what's that all about? And so I took off. And what's strange is as I was taking off, I kind of just swept into a vast fearlessness, and I could see 4 or 6 cop cars coming in at me, and as they turned around, and I just drove through the middle of them and let them peel away just like playing a game of chicken. And then I kept going, and I could hear the railway bridge coming down, the ties, ding, 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 ding. And I could I had a little bit of time, but the train wasn't here yet. But I had like a little bit of time, and so I made a run for it, and I just barely beat the train out of the other side, and took off. Ran to a 2-hour ride up past from Hope to almost Kamloops. It reminded me of that first Sylvester Stallone movie that was shot in Hope, where he breaks out. He's still in the wilderness fighting mode, and he's got to just take it from there. So Krishna was experienced there because all of a sudden, dealing with all these cops coming at me, I burst into fearless Krishna, and I could handle the cops very easily 24 or 26 of them. So, yeah. So, on that day, I was splicing the cops in two rows, going up the Coquihalla, all done very humorously, in that the humans weren't even living with us anymore. So we had moved to Vancouver to be around them, but Marcia had lost her job and was in camps again. So I'll just take a moment. I was up early again. I was up early. In fact, that's not even true. What happens is I go through these very busy phases, and I have not slept for about a week at least. I got in. The problem is I can always remember what the Buddha they said about the Buddha, and also Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh had said that too. They basically said the Buddha never sleeps, and that the Buddha only rests in the rest of the physical self. And that's gradually been my experience too. All total in this week, I've probably had a week hours worth of sleep altogether. And the other night, I was about 10:30 or 11, and I came back to bed, and then woke up, I guess, just a few minutes later, and started taking off towards the newspaper people in Nelson, and those are in. Uh, so you see, so I can get tired and I can feel myself because I haven't slept for a week. But this tends to happen when I'm in the center of the cycle, and the reason why this is important is 2 nights ago I fell asleep about 10:30. I had a couple of. I went to a pub, and I think it was another karaoke night, or not karaoke, hot mic night. Listened to a little bit of music, and then I went back, and I went to sleep for about. Lay down and went to sleep instantaneously, and then I woke up a little while later, and I was suddenly just driving down the road, and like at midnight, and I didn't even know how I got there, and I was driving towards Castlegar, which is about a half an hour away from Nelson, and I don't even know. I had to retract. I don't know how I did that. Last time I was remembering, I was leaving the pub and going back home. So I realized that I had fallen asleep, and some other being had overruled me. And so this is very interesting because uh, Bhagwan always used to say is stay in your awareness no matter what, and that's what I've tried to do, is stay in my awareness no matter what. But um, um, I was shocked that I went to sleep for 20 minutes, and all of a sudden another being was inside me and had got me to at 11 o'clock at night to hop in the car and start driving. So I traced that all back, and um, I could see I just needed to go back to the hotel, which I did. But you see, I was not. I was asleep for 20 minutes there, and that was somewhere that made me realize, well, I'm going to just have to mainly stay awake the whole time from this point on. So that was, the Buddha felt that, but that's a Buddha that's into warriorhood. You see, I think that in Buddha had lots of these Krishna skills and cosmic worship already developing through all his years of being a master. And so I think he was well versed on it, when he had died, although he had still taken the passive infinity approach to surrender and had not surrendered totally, instantly, absolutely, until the end of his last life. But then he said, okay, I'm just going to come back as a friend, because he could see that all the fraud and all the mess that happens in master-disciple relationships. Oh, you have to excuse me. I'm getting like almost how you at nighttime when you're driving. You suddenly find yourself going, "Whoa!" So you just have to excuse me because the talk today is actually helping yourself make the transition from passive enlightenment to active enlightenment, from Buddhahood to Krishnahood. So the core thing about this is that life goes on and on and on, and once you become enlightened, you surrender to existence. But what we're talking about here, just not resting in stillness, and when you surrender to existence, there's still a play of existence. And so you can let that play arise within your being and spontaneously react to that, spontaneously just go from there. And so you don't have to sit back and just be like Eckhart Tolle and meditate quietly all day. You can get out like the 10 bowls of Zen, the famous 10 ox herding pictures. The 10th ox herding picture is about being out in the community and celebrating and enjoying life. And so that, in this end of the line place of awakening, that can be very important. You celebrate with your addictions family, because it's very rare for a person to be enlightened, and even rarer for a person to go down the addictions path to enlightenment. Now, I'm just going to stop here and get a sense if I got some questioning beings that are trying to figure things out. Okay, so you can see that today I'm a bit tired. That just happens. I just have to have a quiet day. I did actually have a little problem 2 mornings ago. I sometimes still like that cosmic wildness of driving all night. And I had been driving all night and enjoying it, but I came into a Soyuz, and there's a 20-kilometer section where it winds down to the beautiful town below. And I hadn't really seen this first curve come up, and I ended up driving off the road at 100 and 110 kilometers an hour and right into some big rocks and some trees and bouncing all around and slamming. And all my speed bags went off. But then I stopped, and it felt like the undercarriage was severely damaged. But I was okay, and there had been a real stillness because I kept on trying to steer when we went off the road, but it was really still and it was sublime. I knew that I definitely wasn't going to get into Soyuz anytime soon, but I just accepted it, and it shows, you can be in your total awareness, but things can still happen. I forgot that, about the fact that that's where the road starts turning down. I get joyful rides of going by very fast and enjoying that, and the effortless speeding that goes on, effortless driving. So this morning I have to just take the vehicle over to the next city over Penticton and get a ride with the tow truck driver, so I don't have to even pay for both my taxi and a tow truck. So that's happening in a little while. So what I'm going to do though is say that as you've already surrendered to existence in a passive way in Buddhahood, now you have to surrender to existence in an active way. Every moment is active infinity, where one surrenders to the vastness of existence and lets it just be a play of existence, and stays in each moment. And I have no idea what's going to happen in the next moment, so I don't make plans very much. I just had a little nod off there. I'm sorry, that's what happens. This is why I'm glad this morning I'm not driving. I'm just taking a cab all the way, like a 75-kilometer ride. I'm feeling quite cosmic though, and enjoying the cosmic wildness. You see, as we get into Krishnahood, Ali Dal was right. It's embracing activity, active infinity, but it's not. Ali Dal is more of a singular person, which means it's not really non-dual if it's just you're singular trying to claim his superiority for all of time. He was also wrapped up in being the avatar, which is more like a mountain claim rather than being the ocean, which is like an interdependent claim, like Taoism, interdependent. Anyways, he talked about you have to be able to be zero and infinity, not just zero, not just the Buddha zero, but infinity. You accept infinite consciousness in each moment. So as you do that, you are heading towards your Krishna point. And with that, though, there can be a wildness that's born because you're now a cosmic being, a cosmically wild being, which all the plants and animals and forms nearby can really feel, and it can be very enlightening and joyful for them. In fact, I think that my car has gotten more joyful over the last couple of months. It seems to get energized by this intense energy. There I go again. That's how I guess they learned how to bow. Oh my, almost. Anyways, all sorts of things can happen. In a Krishna phase where now you're surrendered absolutely to existence and you're letting everything be a play of existence, there can be a heroship that starts to happen because you become the messenger or the play of all of existence. So it's an active form of non-doing doing. And what's interesting is females can be very attracted to this power state. The power of the beingness can feel very intense because it can be felt a long ways away. Now, well, for most females, it seems to be felt in the lower three chakras, where that seems to really help those lower three chakras get opened up and liberated. So there can even be some intense sexual energy that's felt for the female. Now, what's also rare, though, that would be like a Krishna typical female connection. But there also can be some females that have really worked already on their issue, and they can actually have a even a higher relationship to Krishna, and that is of active service, where not only are they feeling their attractiveness or attraction to Krishna, their sexual energy, they feel a call to service to form higher or do higher functions. So now, if a woman doesn't fit those two descriptions, I'd be just careful about checking her out. You want to know what energetically is going on. So the thing is, though, with Krishna, because Krishna is so wild, Krishna gets into relationships or relationship issues with so many different people. There is all the lovers that become connected to Krishna, and then there's also the grand fights of existence, because Krishna is a proponent of freedom first, and so he picks up the side of the freedom and always fights in favor of the individual and fights very intensely, and he plays to never lose. So he does not want to lose out to some of these other forces, because if they start winning, where's that going to leave our existence? So now that's going to be, I realized today, we're just going to introduce a few more things, and that'll be it for today, because having not slept for 7 nights, I'm hoping to get a little reprieve. I have to leave here in a few minutes to go all the way to Penticton. So let me just mention some other qualities. Krishna is like a magician. As you've heard of it in Zen, the sound of one hand clapping. This is a much more majestic musicianship that can really resonate off of Krishna. And there can be a magical room in Krishna's shell. Oh, I can see I'm falling asleep today. So I can just say about the musical quality, the ability to understand the huge amounts of pressure, being the spokesman for and being able to do active infinity, whole bunch of cosmic warriorship skills that are very rare and siddhas get become available to Krishna, being able to actually almost be the center of existence and be okay with that. The fire becomes the fire of existence, the cosmic midnight sun of existence, which goes across the all cosmos. Used to be this earth, but now we live in a cosmic world or citizenship. I remember that same night, just a couple hours earlier, stopping on the side of the road and saying hi to all the stars, and the stars saying hello back, and how wondrous that felt. We are now cosmic citizens, not just global citizens, like blown away far beyond the globe. Cosmic citizens, and we have a responsibility to the whole cosmos, and the stars are shining back. So it's a celestial connection, which we have to be ready for alien invasion because other other civilizations are very jealous of the beautiful relationship we have with our embracing our eternal light and the magicalness of our existence. And we also have a situation where we have beautiful spirit guides that are available, like for example, Mother Mary's out there working very intensely, being compassionate and present with people, even though she's not embodied anymore. She's working very hard with helping beings out, and Jesus is out always trying to help, always trying to heal, and there's other beings as well. So that would be, I guess we'll just call this today the first part, and I'll have a longer one tomorrow when I'm a little bit more well rested. Okay, so that's the first step in the Buddhahood to Krishnahood, first stage of a 2 or 3 part talk. Thank you very much. Bye for now.